Okay, we will start the session now. In this today's session, we are going to start with the principle of stationary total potential. Okay, so initially we will understand. Okay, what is the principle of? Okay, what is the principle of stationary total potential? What is the principle of stationary total potential? Okay, stationary total potential. So we will understand principle of stationary total potential, and after that we are going to solve the problem based on it. Okay, after that we are going to solve the problem based on it. So now let's start try to understand. Okay, what is the principle of stationary total potential? Okay, so now let's consider the spring. Let's consider the spring, okay, which is fixed at one end. Consider the spring, okay, of stiffness K, which is fixed at one end, okay, and it is free at other end. So if you can see the other end, it is free. Okay, so let's see that, or let's consider that this spring, it is at the height, the spring, it is at the height h from the ground. Try to understand. Okay, let's see that the spring, it is at a height h from the ground. Simple. Consider one spring of stiffness K, whose one end is fixed and other end is free, which is at a distance h from the datum, or this is basically the ground, right? Now what we are going to do with this particular spring is, to this particular spring we are going to attach some weight, or we are going to attach some mass. Okay, so see, this is a spring, this is a spring, right? This is a spring. So to this particular spring we are going to attach some mass. Okay, so I will be attaching some mass m. I will be attaching the mass m. Okay, so once you attach the mass m, what happens is, see, this is basically a spring which is hanging freely. Okay, so if to this particular spring if you attach some mass, that is m, then what happens is the spring will move in a downward direction, right? So the spring will move in a downward direction. That means the mass m will displace the spring. Okay, mass m will cause the displacement of the spring. Okay, so as a result of this, the spring is going to have some deflection. Okay, the spring is going to have some deflection, right? So now let's see that this is the new position of the mass. This is the new position of the mass, right? This is the new position of the mass. Right? So what happens is, when you attach mass m, the spring is being displaced. Okay, the spring is being displaced through this distance, right? So what is the distance that is been traveled by the spring? Okay, so this is the distance that is been traveled by the mass. Rather, let's say that the spring, the mass has traveled distance x. That means this x is the displacement of the spring, right? X is the displacement of the spring, right? Then what is the new position of the mass with respect to datum? Okay, so this is the new position of the mass with respect to datum. This is that position. So it is nothing but it is h minus x, right? This new position is h minus x. Is it okay? See, this is basically the spring. This is basically spring which is hanging freely in a vertical direction with one of the end as free end. Okay, and this free end, it is at a distance h. So to that particular spring, if you attach some mass m, this spring is going to get through distance, displaced through distance x. As a result, okay, the mass m is going to occupy the new position, that is h minus x. Is it okay with this one? Is it okay with this one?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
Okay, now see what this principle of stationary total potential says. Okay, so if you need to calculate the total potential, okay, if you need to calculate what is the total potential for this particular system, so total potential for this particular system, it is given by, it is the addition of strain energy, it is the addition of strain energy which is stored in the spring, the strain energy which is stored in this, okay, plus the gravitational potential energy plus gravitational potential energy plus gravitational potential energy. Okay, so obviously gravitational potential energy will be possessed by the mass. Okay, so it is a gravitational potential energy of the mass with respect to datum. Okay, with respect to what? With respect to datum, right? With respect to datum. Okay, so see, if you need to calculate total potential energy, so total potential energy is given by addition of strain energy. So whatever the energy that is been stored in the spring, that is strain energy, okay, plus whatever the gravitational potential energy, the mass it is having with respect to datum. Okay, so these two will give me the total potential. Now what I will do, I will indicate this total potential as pi p. I will indicate this total potential as pi p. So pi p is given by, now I need to calculate strain energy stored in the spring. So it is given by half, okay, into stiffness of the spring, okay, into square of the displacement, right? Half kx square. This will give me the strain energy which is stored in the spring, plus now I need to calculate gravitational potential energy. So as you know, gravitational potential energy is given by m into g, okay, into this, into what? Distance from the ground. Okay, what is the distance from the ground? It is h minus x. It is h minus x, right? So now see, I'm interested to differentiate this pi p. I'm interested to differentiate this pi p, okay, with respect to x. Okay, I will differentiate this pi p with respect to x and equate it to 0. I will differentiate this pi p with respect to x and I will equate it to 0. Okay, so what is the differentiation of this term with respect to x? What is the differentiation of this term with respect to x? Can you tell me? Okay, so it is half into k as it is. What is the differentiation of x square?
2x.
Okay, it is 2x, right? It is 2x. See, it is 2x plus
mg
m into g as it is. Okay,
as,
into what is the
minus
differentiation of h minus x?
-1.
It's -1, right? So it is equal to 0. It is equal to 0. So you see this 2 gets cancelled. What is remaining is kx minus mg is equal to 0. Kx minus mg is equal to 0. So what value of x I will get? X I will get by k. Okay, x I'm getting as mg by k. Okay, so this is the displacement. This is the displacement of the mass. This is the displacement of the mass or spring, you can call it as, right? So x is given by mg by k. Okay, now see, so what we have done is basically we are differentiating this pi p with respect to variable. Okay, here there is only one variable. Okay, so I have taken it as a complete derivative. I written this as a d pi p by dx. Okay, because here is only one variable, that is x. Okay, in other cases you might have 2 or 3 variable. This displacement might be x1, x2, x3, x4. Okay, so in that case what is expected is you need to differentiate that total potential, that is pi p, partially with respect to those variables. Okay, partially with respect to those variable. Okay, so I will call it as dou pi p by dou xi is equal to 0. Okay, see here it's only one variable. That's why I will differentiate it completely. That is d pi p by dx is equal to 0. But in every case, it's not necessary that you will have only a single variable, right? You might have many variable like x1, x2, x3. So what I written, I differentiate pi p, okay, partially with respect to variable. Okay, and that variable might be x1, x2, x3, x4. Okay, so what I've written, differentiate pi p partially with respect to xi, okay, for I ranging between 1 to up to n. 1 to up to n. Is it okay? Is it okay with this one? Is it okay? Let me know. Have you understood this one?
Yes, sir.
Right. See, this is very simple. Okay, simply you calculate the total potential and differentiate that total potential with respect to variables. Okay, and that differentiation has to be partial. That means by keeping all other variable constant, you need to differentiate with respect to that particular variable, right? Okay, so now let's take the problem based on it. Okay, so now I'll take the problem. Now I'll take the problem. Okay. Determine. Okay. Determine the displacement. Determine the displacement at the nodes. Determine the displacement at the nodes by using principle of minimum potential, by the principle of minimum potential energy. You see, minimum potential energy, it is nothing but the principle of stationary total potential, right? See, principle of stationary total potential, it is nothing but a principle of minimum potential energy. Okay, so determine the displacement at the nodes by using principle of minimum potential energy, and find support reactions, and find support reactions, Okay, so let's see this problem. What is given? Okay, so they have given this as a fixed support. Okay, with this spring with the stiffness K1. Okay, this K1, it is attached to two spring. Okay, this is one spring with this stiffness. Okay, this is one more spring. Okay, this is with this stiffness K3. This is with the stiffness K3. This is with the stiffness K2. Right? Here they have applied the load, that is 100 kilonewton. 100 kilonewton they applied. Okay, here they have attached one more spring with this stiffness K4. Okay, and here it is fixed. Right? And here they applied the 200 kilonewton. This load they have applied. Right? 200 kilonewton they have applied. And now what they have given? They have given the values of stiffness. They have given K1 is equal to 100 Newton per mm. K2 is equal to 300 Newton per mm. K3 is equal to 150 Newton per mm. Okay, and K4 is equal to 200 Newton per mm. 200 Newton per mm. Okay, now see, this is a problem which is given. Right? See, this problem they're asking to solve by principle of minimum potential energy. Same problem you can solve by using the concept of assembly problems, right? Can you solve it or not? Tell me. Can you solve the same problem by using concept of assembly problems? Okay, you write down element stiffness matrix for this one. K into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. For this one, K2 into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. This one, K3 into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. K4 into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1 1. Then you form the global matrices, right? Apply these two boundary conditions, right? And solve the problem. But that is not expected here. They are expected to solve this problem by principle of minimum potential energy. Okay, so that we need to solve. Is it okay? So see, in the problem already if you see, each spring will have a different stiffness. That means every element of this spring is nothing but an element, right? Every spring is an element, right? So see, elements have been already formed. See, every spring is having different stiffness. That means every spring is an element. Every spring is an element. So there is no need to form elements, right? So what we need to do here is we just need to assign the nodes. So for that, here only I will call this node. See, I will call this node as node number 1. I will call this as node number 1. I will call this as node number 2, right? I will call this as node number 3. I'll call this as node number, right? And I will call this as node number 5. Is it okay? Only just you need to number the nodes. Okay. This is only expected. Is it okay with this one? Right? Okay. Now see, in order to start with, okay, I need to start. See, if I need to calculate the strain energy which is stored in the spring, what is the formula? Half into K into displacement square. Half into K into displacement square. Okay. But that displacement has to be a net displacement. It has to be the net displacement. Okay. So let me write down here. Let x be an individual deflection. Okay, let's x be an individual deflection at the node. Let x be an individual deflection at the node, and del be an net deflection of the spring. Net deflection of the spring. See, try to understand. There are two terms. Okay, if you talk about any element, okay, that is a spring, you consider the spring K1. Okay, so K1 will have displacement, okay, or deflection delta 1. Okay, K1 will have deflection delta 1. But if you talk about this spring, okay, this spring, it is between two nodes, that is node 1 and 2. So each node will have different displacement. The node 1 will have displacement x1, node 2 will have displacement x2, and this x2 minus x1 will give me the deflection of the spring K1, that is delta 1. Okay, is it okay or not? Okay, so see, if I need to write down the formula, what is the net deflection in spring 1? Delta 1. Okay, net deflection in the spring 1, that is delta 1. I need to write down that formula as x2 minus x1, right? Because this delta 1, it is for the spring. Okay, and these deflections are for the nodes. These deflections are for the nodes, because this spring, it is between in these two nodes, right? Is it okay with this one? Is it okay? Yes or no? On the
Yes,
similar
sir.
hand, can I write down delta 2? For delta 2, what I should write down? What is the net deflection of this spring? It is between 2 and 4, right? So it is x4 minus x2, right? Similarly, can I write down for delta 3? Delta 3 for this spring, it is between 2 and 3. So it is x3 minus x2, right? It is x3 minus x2. Similarly, can I write down for this fourth spring? It is between 3 and 5. Okay. So this is delta 4 is equal to x5 minus x3. Is it okay? Is it okay with this one? Okay. So what is the next step now? We need to calculate
Yes, sir.
the energy stored in the spring. Okay. Now we are interested to calculate. Okay. What is the energy stored? Okay. What is the energy stored in the spring? Okay. So what is the formula for energy stored in the spring? Is given by half into K into deflection square, right? Half into K into deflection square. Half into K into delta square, right? So I'll write down the total potential pi p, as, now this, see, this is the energy stored in the spring. So each energy will have this energy, right? Each spring will have this energy, right? Energy stored in the spring. So this energy, this spring will have how much energy? It is having half into K1 into delta 1 square, right? This spring will have this much energy, right? Similarly, this spring will have how much energy? Half K2 into delta 2 square, right? Plus this spring will have half K3 into delta 3 square, right? Plus the fourth spring will have half K4 into delta 4 square, half K4 into delta 4 square. Is it okay? right? So this is all about what? This is all about strain energy which is stored in the spring. See, this is the strain energy in the spring 1, strain energy in the spring 2, strain energy in the spring 3, and strain energy in the spring 4, right? In addition to that, we have gravitational potential energy, okay, and that is given by minus F1x1, try to understand, minus F2x2 minus F3x3, okay, minus I will write down minus F4x4 minus F5x5 minus F5x5, right? Minus F5x5. Okay, see, this is for strain energy and this is for gravitational potential energy, right? Now see, what is expected is now I need to put that value, right? So pi p is given by half into k1 into delta 1 square. This is delta 1 square, right? That is x2 minus x1 square plus half into k2 into delta 2 square. This is delta 2, right? That is x4 minus x2 square plus half into k3 into delta 3 square, x3 minus x2 square plus half into k4 into delta 4. What is delta 4? x5 minus x3, x5 minus x3 square, right? Minus f1 x1 minus f2 x2 minus f3 x3 minus f4 x4 minus f5 x5, right? So let me write down, these are the equation number 1. Okay, now let me write down, these are the equation number 2, right? Now these values we got, right? These values we got. That means this equation we have got it for total potential. This equation we have got it for total potential, right? Now I'm basically interested to differentiate this total pi p, total potential, okay, with respect to variables, as I told you. Okay, so if you can see here, there are variables. Which are those variables? X1 you have, x2, x3, x4, x5. So here there are basically 5 variables. So what I will do, I will differentiate it partially initially with respect to x1. Okay, I will partially initially differentiate it with respect to x1, right? Initially I will differentiate this pi p partially with respect to x1 and equate to 0. Okay, so let's see what I will get. What is the differentiation of this term with respect to x1? What I will get? Half k1. Okay, what is the differentiation of this with respect to x1? That is twice of x2 minus x1 into minus 1. Is it okay? Minus 1. This term, because you have here minus sign, that's why here it is minus 1, right? Is it okay? Differentiation of this term is 0 because no x1.
0.
Here again no x1. This is 0. Here again there is no x1. This is 0. Here you have x1. Okay, so this becomes minus f1, right? Here there is no x1, no x1. So is equal to 0. Is it okay? So what you got or what you get here from this one? What will get here? Okay. This 2 gets cancelled. See, this 2 gets cancelled, right? Yes or no? See, this 2 and this 2, right? This 2 and this 2 gets cancelled. What is remaining? K1 into x2 into minus 1, right? That is minus K1 x2. See, K1 into x2 into minus 1, that is minus K1 x2. Okay, K1 into minus x1 and into minus 1, that is plus K1 x1. Okay, is equal to, okay, minus f1 is equal to 0. Minus f1 is equal to 0, right? So what I will do from this, I will write down one equation, that is, okay, what I will do is I'll just bring this term on the right hand side. Okay, I'll just bring this term on the right hand side. So I'll get it as k1 x1 plus minus k1 x2 plus minus k1 x2 is equal to f1. Is it okay? Yes or no? Both the equations are one and same or not? Whether they are one and same? Is it same equation which are written? See here, k1 into x1. You have k1 into x1. Next term, minus k1 x2, minus k1 x2, minus f1. So if you bring it on right hand side, it becomes plus. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now see, now initially you are differentiated with respect to x1, right? Now you differentiate this pi p partially with respect to x2 and equal it to 0. You differentiate this with respect to x2. Let's see what we'll get. Okay, what is the differentiation of this with respect to x2? Start with the first term. What will get? Half k1. See, this is x2 minus x1 square. So what will get? It is twice x2 minus x1. Okay, and x1 coefficient is 1. So I'll write down 1 only. Right? Then here for this term plus half k2. Here again there is x2 term. So that is twice of x4 minus x2 into minus 1 into minus 1. Is it okay? Next for this one, this term, differentiation of this term, half k3 into twice of x3 minus x2 into minus 1. Yes or no? Then here there is no any term of x2. Here there is no any term. Here minus f2 minus f2. Here there is no any term. Here there is no any term. There is no any term. So yes or no? Is it okay with this one? Right? Yes or no? So how are you going to rearrange it? See, this 2 gets cancelled. This 2 and 2 gets cancelled. What is remaining? It's k1. I will write on here. Right? I will write on here. K. See, this 2 gets cancelled. What is remaining? It's k1 x2. Okay. Then k1 into minus x1. That is minus k1 x1. Right? Next, this 2 gets cancelled. Okay. K2 into x4 into minus 1. Okay. That is minus k2 x4. This minus and this minus becomes plus. That is plus k2 x2, right? Plus k2 x2. Next for this one, 2 gets cancelled, and this is again minus 1. So this is minus k3 x3. Okay, then this minus into this minus is plus. So this is plus k3 into x2. K3 into x2, right? Yes or no? Minus f2 is equal to 0. Minus f2 is equal to 0, right? So now how I will arrange it? I will arrange it in the form of coefficient of x1, x2, x3, right? Like that I will arrange. So let's start with the coefficient of x1. So this is the coefficient of x1. So I will write down minus k1 x1. See, this term I'm writing first. Minus k1 x1 plus. Now I will write down, okay, starting from coefficient of x2. Okay, starting from coefficient of x2. Okay, so tell me how to start. What is the coefficient of x2 you get? Here it. See now, what is the coefficient of x2? Here it is k1. Okay, k1, coefficient of x2 is k1. Coefficient of x2 is k2. Right? Then coefficient of x2 is k3. Right? So k1 plus k2 plus k3 into x2. Right? Into x2. Now I will take coefficient of x3. Coefficient of x3. So this is the only term. That is minus k3 x3. Right? Minus k3 x3. Now I will take coefficient of x4. Right? That is plus minus k2 x4 is equal to f2. So yes or no? Is it okay with this one? Have you understood this equation? Have you understood this equation? See, k1
Yes, sir.
x2, k1 x2 you will get minus k1 x1 you will get minus k2 x4 plus k2 x2 minus k3 x3 plus k3 x2 right? and minus F2, when you shift it on right hand side, this becomes plus. Right? Now see, now you need to differentiate pi p with respect to x3. Differentiate pi p with respect to x3. Okay, and let's see what we are getting. See, this is basically pi p. Right? Differentiate it with respect to partially with respect to x3. Right? So what you will get? This term is 0. This term is again 0. Okay, this term you will get something, right? So this is half into k3. I'm differentiating this term. Okay, that is twice of x3 minus x2 into 1. Okay, for this term again, you'll get half. See, for this term, half k4 into, what is the differentiation of this term with respect to x3? That is twice of x5 minus x3 into minus 1. Here there is no term, here there is no term. This is with respect to x3 is minus f3. Okay, is equal to 0. Is equal to 0. Is it okay? Okay, now see here, 2 gets cancelled. 2 gets cancelled. What is remaining? It's k3 x3. Then this into this minus k3 x2, right? Then this k4 into x5 into minus 1, that is minus k4 x5. Then k4 into minus x3 into minus 1, that is plus k4 into x3. Okay, minus f3 is equal to 0. Yes or no? See, all of you, right? Have you understood this one? So I will arrange same like in the form of coefficient of x1, right? So I won't have any coefficient of x1. So x1, there is no x1 coefficient. Start with x2. Okay, so I have minus k3 x2. Okay, minus k3 x2 plus minus k3 x2. Then coefficient of x3. See, this is the coefficient of x3, right? So that is k3. Again, this is the coefficient of x3. That is k3 plus k4. This is the coefficient of x3, right? Plus coefficient of x4. Just see for the coefficient of x4. There is no coefficient of x4. Go for coefficient of x5. This is the coefficient of x5. That is minus k4 x5. Okay, is equal to f3. So let me call this as one more equation. This is equation number 5. Is it okay? Is it okay with this one? Now differentiate pi p with respect to x4 and equate it to 0. You differentiate pi p with respect to x4 and differentiate it equal to 0. Okay, this is a pi p. This is a pi p term. Okay, differentiate it with respect to x4. Right? So let's see what we'll get. Differentiate that. What we'll get? There is no x4. Okay, here there is x4. So you'll get half into k2. Okay, what is the differentiation of this? It is twice of x4 minus x2 into 1. Here there is no x4. Here there is no x4. Here you have only this term, right? Minus f4 is equal to 0. Minus f4 is equal to, I will rewrite as 2 gets cancelled. k2 into x4 minus k2 into x2 minus f4 is equal to 0. Right? So what you get? This is the coefficient of x2. So that is minus k2 x2. This is the coefficient of x4. That is plus k2 into x4 is equal to f4. So let's call this equation number 6. Okay, let's call this as equation number 6. You see, you are differentiated with respect to x4. Now differentiate with respect to x5. Okay, differentiate it with respect to x5 and equate it to 0. Just equate to 0. Okay, now differentiate it. Differentiate this term with respect to partially with respect to x5. There is no term. Here again there is no term. Here there is again no term. Here you have one term, right? So half k4 to this term. Half k4 into differentiation of this is twice of x5 minus x3 into 1. There is no term. And here you have minus f5. Minus f5 is equal to 0. Minus f5 is equal to 0. So what you'll get? 2 gets cancelled. K4 x5 and okay, then 2 gets cancelled, k4 x3, that is minus k4 x3 minus f5 is equal to 0. So I will rewrite it as minus k4 x3 plus k4
The camera.
x5, yeah, plus k4 x5, see here, minus k4 x3 and plus k4 x5, okay, is equal to f5. This is the equation 7, I will call, right? This is the equation number 7, right? So now I have see these equations. Okay, we can start from this equation. I have equation number 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7. Can you see this equation? 3, 4,
Yes,
5, 6, and 7, right? Now what I will do is I will basically arrange those equations in the form of matrices. Okay, because see we used to form the global matrices by arranging all those equations. Okay, what I will get is obviously I will get a global matrices, right? So I will combine it. Okay, so let me combine it, right? So I will combine those equations. Okay, so I will write here combining equation 3, 4, right? 5, 6, and 7. I will combine 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so let's start combining it, right? Let's start combining the equation. Okay, so here one it's k1, right? K1. What is the coefficient of x2? X2 it's minus k1. It's minus k1. What is the coefficient of x3? It is 0. What is the coefficient of x4? It is 0. What is the coefficient of x5? It is again 0, right? Only you have coefficient of x1 and x2. For x3, x4, x5, they are 0. Now go to this equation number 4. Go to equation number 4. What is the coefficient of x1? It is minus k1. What is the coefficient here? Minus k1. What is the coefficient of x2? Okay, it is k1 plus k2 plus k3, right? K1 plus k2 plus k3. What is the coefficient of x3? It is minus k3. This is minus k3. See here, minus k3. Coefficient of x4, it's minus k2. It's minus k2. Okay, and coefficient of x5 here in this equation, there is no. So this is 0, right? Understood? Yes or no? Right? Now go to this equation. Go to this equation. Go to this equation. What is the coefficient of x1 you have? There is no coefficient. So the coefficient of x1 is 0. See, what is the coefficient of x2 you have? That is minus k3. Coefficient of x3, it is k3 plus k4. Coefficient of x4, there is no coefficient of x4. So this is to be written as 0. Coefficient of x5, that is minus k4. Minus k4. Right? Is it okay? Now go to next equation. Go to next equation. Go to this equation. What is the coefficient of x1 you have? What is the coefficient of x1 you have here in this equation? There is no, that is 0. Coefficient of x2, it is minus k2. Coefficient of x3, there is no. Coefficient of x4, that is k2. Coefficient of x5, that is 0. Right? Now go to this equation. Last equation. Coefficient of x1, 0. Coefficient of x2, 0. Coefficient of x3, minus k4. Coefficient of x4 is 0. Coefficient of x5, it's k4. Have you understood this one? Let me know. You understood?
Yes, sir.
This is nothing but what? This is a global stiffness matrix. What we have got, right? So this has to be multiplied by what? This has to be multiplied here, all of you. See, ultimately, by multiplying this row to this column, we need to multiply first row to this column. So see here, K1, what do you want here? What do you want here? You want, so if you see K1 into X1, this is K1 into X1, right? Yes or no? K1 into X1 you want, then minus K1 into X2 you want, right? So minus K1 into X2 you want. Is it okay? Yes or no? What do you want here? See, this is X1, this is X2, right? So obviously this is X3, this is X4, right? This is X5. Is it okay? Yes or no? Let me know. So is equal to What do you want? See, this row into this column will give you what? F1, right? So this is F1, this is F2, this is F3, this is F4, and this is F5. Is it okay? Is it okay with this one? Let me know. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Right? Now see, we are interested to solve, right? We want to solve this equation, but we need to put those values of these stiffnesses, right? So let's put those values. So let me put that. What is K1? See, it is given 100, right? K1 it's 100, right? So I'll put those value 100. K1 is 100, minus K1 is minus 100, right? Then 0, 0, 0, right? Then minus K1, it's again minus 100. K1 plus K2 plus K3. See there, 100 plus 300 plus this 150. Okay, 300, 400, 500, 550, right? This is 550. Then minus K3, that is minus 150. Minus K2, that is minus 300. I'm just adding the value, right? Then 0. Next, 0. Then minus K3, that is minus 150, right? Then K3 plus K4, K3 plus K4, 150 plus 200, that is 350. Okay, then this is 0, right? This is 0. This is 0. Then minus K4, that is minus 200, minus 200. Then 0. See, this is 0. Then minus K2, that is minus 300. Then 0. Then K2, that is 300. Then 0. Then 0, 0, minus K4, that is minus 200. Then 0 and K4, that is 200. Right? So this is basically the global stiffness, right? This has to be my displacement, right? We need to multiply it by displacement. Okay, so this is displacement, right? This is x1, okay, x2, x3, x4, and x5, right? x1, x2, x3, x4, and x5 is equal to f1, f2, f3, f4, and f5. F1, F2, F3, F1, F1. Now all of you let me know, just see the diagram and how I should solve this equation. Let me know how I should solve the equation. Now I have the system of 5 equations with the 5 unknowns. How I should solve?
Boundary conditions.
Boundary conditions.
Boundary condition. Tell me what is the boundary condition?
X1, X5, 0.
What is 0?
X1
See,
and
right.
X1.
If you can see the node 1 is fixed. Node 1 is fixed. That means displacement at node 1 is 0, right? So this U1 is 0. So if this U1 is 0, what happens is this first row and first column gets cancelled, right? Similarly, if you can see the node 5 is fixed, that means displacement at node 5 is 0. So that's why this fifth row and this fifth column gets cancelled, right? Is it okay? So what is remaining now? You have the 3 equations with the unknown x2, x3, and x4, right? You need to solve the 3 simultaneous equations with the unknowns x2, x3, and x4, provided you know f2, you know f3, and you know f4. This value should be known. Now tell me, what is the force applied at node 2? What is the force applied at node 2?
0.
See, right? See, at node 2, they haven't applied any force. So I can take it 0 Newton. I will take it 0 Newton. Now next is, what is the force applied at node 3? Node 3.
200 kilonewton.
See, this 200 they applied at node 3. But whatever the stiffness we have taken here, stiffness we have taken in Newton per mm. So this force has to be again Newton. Okay. So force applied at node 3 is 200. So I will write down this as a 200. But it has to be multiplied by 10 to the power 3. So this becomes in Newton. Right? Is it okay? Now what is force applied at node 4? Right? This is 100. 100. But this has to be in Newton. That is 100 into 10 to the power 3. Right? Now can you solve it? All of you, can you solve this equation? Just solve this in your calculator. How to do that? All of you know this? Can you solve it in a calculator?
Yes, sir.
And tell me the answers. What are you getting?
So wake the camera, tap the screen.
x2 is equal to 1000.
X2.
Yes, sir.
X2. How much X2 value you are getting?
1000.
1000. See, this value will be in mm because displacement you have taken in Newton per mm. So this value will be in mm.
x3 is equal to 1000.
X3 is
Same,
equal to
sir.
1000.
1000.
x4 is equal to 1333.33.
33 mm. All of you getting same answer?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now see, so what we have calculated, we have calculated what? See, determine the displacement. So this displacement we have got. Now they're asking also find the support reactions, right? So this is very easy. How to calculate support reaction? The point where structure is fixed, right? At that point we will get reactions. The point where structure is fixed, at that point we are getting reaction. So wherever we have displacement 0, that is a reaction. So F1 becomes the reaction. I will get F1. This first row into this column will give you F1, right? So I will write down 100 into X1, right? See here, 100 into X1, okay, plus minus 100 into X2, minus 100 into X2, 0 into X3, 0 into X4, 0 into X5, okay, plus 0 into X3, plus 0 into X4, plus 0 into X5, okay, will give me the value of F1. Will give me the value of F1. See, X1 is already 0, 1 is 0. Similarly, X5 is also 0, right? So what we have? We have only this is 0, this is 0, right? So we have only minus 100. See, what do we have? We have minus 100 into X2. What is X2? That is 1000, right? X2 is 1000 is equal to F1, right? So what value of F1 we are getting? F1 minus how much we are getting? Right? Just check the values. Is it okay? Is it okay with this one?
Yes, sir.
Go for this calculation of F5, right? So this is last row multiplied by this column, right? So 0 into X1 plus 0 into X2 plus minus 200 into X3 plus 0 into X4 plus 200 into X5 is given by F5, is given by F5, right? So see here, all of you, this is already 0. See, X5 is already 0. Okay, X1 is already 0. So this is 0, this is 0. What is remaining? It's minus 200 into X3. Into X3 is 1000. Right? This is 0. Okay, so is equal to F5. So is equal to F5. That is what value of F5 we are getting? F5 we are getting as minus, right? This value we are getting. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, if you want to check whether your displacements are correct or not, just take the summation of forces in X direction. Just take this value. That is F1 plus F2 plus F3 plus F4 plus F5, right? So just add all those values. So F1 we have calculated minus, right, this value, right, plus F2 it is 0. See here, F2 is 0 plus F3 it is 200 into 10 raised to power 3 plus F4 it is 100 into 10 raised to power 3. Okay, plus F5, that is coming minus 20. Okay. Is it okay? So how much you will get? You will get equal to 0. Yes or no? How much you will get? You will get equal to 0. Is it okay? Is it okay with this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, see, similar, the same problem you can practice by using the concept of assembly problems. Okay, that is writing the element stiffness matrices for every element, then clubbing those element stiffness matrices so as to get the global stiffness matrices. That is this matrices you will get. Again, in the same manner you can, right? Okay, but this problem we have solved by using principle of stationary total potential. Right? So same problem you can solve by using multiple methods so as to validate the answers. Right? So if you're getting same answers by both the methods, okay, that means it leads to your validations of your results. Is it okay with this one? Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is it okay to each of you? Right? So in the next lecture, okay, we will take the dynamic analysis. Okay, so in the next lecture, we'll be starting with the dynamic analysis. That means we are basically dealing with the free axial vibration of the rod and free transverse vibration of beam. Okay, in the next lecture, we'll be starting with the dynamic analysis, and in that, we are going to basically deal with free axial vibration of the rod and free transverse vibration of the beam. Okay. So today we are going to stop here, and in the next lecture, we'll be starting with the dynamic analysis.